would have given their delegate votes to Hubert Humphrey. We would have gone to a first ballot, we would have gone to a second ballot. Every vote that happened in the first ballot disappears. So you start over. So it can be completely different. So if you are running as a candidate in a political election, you want to win the nomination on the first ballot, especially if you're the favorite, because if it goes to a second ballot, what do people sometimes do? Change their minds. But anyway, just for a historic note, in the election of 1960, Wyoming was the state that gave Kennedy enough votes to be nominated in the first ballot. Historians will say if that would have gone to a second ballot, John Kennedy may have never received the nomination, and you wouldn't be in the class of next year. We wouldn't have such a class. So keep that in mind as we talk about 1860. So Abraham Lincoln and Governor William Seward are fighting for this nomination. You have to have 2/3 majority. In 1960, it was 761 votes. Okay, we're not going to get into that. But you got to have 2/3. So on the first ballot in this election, Seward has more delegate votes than Lincoln, but he did not have what? 2/3 majority. So it's going to go to a second ballot. So Douglas defeats Lincoln in the first ballot, but he does not. Seward defeats Lincoln in the first ballot, but doesn't have the 2/3 majority. So it goes to a second ballot. At the end of the second ballot, they basically are even. So obviously, no one has 2/3 majority, right? So it goes to a third ballot. On the third ballot, Lincoln wins, but he's 2 delegate votes short of 2/3 majority. So it goes to a fourth ballot, which is very unusual. So first ballot, Seward wins, but he doesn't have 2/3 majority, so it goes to a second ballot. On the second ballot, they're basically dead even, Seward and Lincoln. Obviously, no one has 2/3 majority, so they go to a third ballot. On the third ballot, Lincoln defeats Seward, but he's 2 delegate votes short of 2/3 majority, so we're going to go to a fourth ballot. And on the fourth ballot, Lincoln received the necessary delegate votes to earn the nomination. But it was quite a process. So now who do you have running? Stephen Douglas for the Northern Democrats, John C. Breckinridge for the Southern Democrats, Abraham Lincoln for the Republicans. And I'll be darned if a third party doesn't join. The Constitutional Union Party. New party springs up. And guess who they consist of mainly? Whigs, very good, Whigs. So the Whigs kind of get themselves organized, and many members of the Whig Party reorganize into this new Constitutional Union Party, and they nominate Senator John Bell from Tennessee. So you have 4 people running for the presidency, so Katie bar the door on what might happen here. You're going to split the Democratic Party votes. That's going to hurt them. But you don't know the people that vote for John Bell, which party they're coming from. So this is really a crapshoot to see what's going to happen. So you've got Senator Stephen Douglas for the Northern Democrats, Vice President John C. Breckinridge for the Southern Democrats, Abraham Lincoln for the Republicans, and Senator John Bell of Tennessee for the Constitutional Union Party. Here's how it broke down. Now let me ask you this first. We still got to have electoral votes to win, right? Where's the biggest population in the United States at this time right now? North. Very good. So it's obvious that whichever candidate wins the most votes in the North is going to win this election. So we'll see how it goes. Senator Bell from Tennessee actually carried 3 states. He carried 3 states: Virginia, Tennessee, and Kentucky. So Senator John Bell of Tennessee in the election of 1860 wins 3 states: Virginia, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Are those northern states? They're kind of central states, aren't they, when you think about them? Okay. What do you think Breckinridge is going to win? He's going to win the South. Breckinridge carries all the southern states, basically. All of them, except for if you want to consider Virginia, Tennessee, or Kentucky southern, I don't know. But he wins all the southern states other than those three. Those are kind of in the middle. Douglas only carries 2 northern states, Missouri and New Jersey. Douglas carries only 2 northern states, Missouri and New Jersey. Who wins the rest of the important North? Lincoln, winning the 180 electoral votes needed and becomes the nation's 16th president. I'll repeat that in its essence. Senator Bell carried 3 states, Virginia, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Vice President Breckinridge carried the remainder of the southern states, which were not very well populated. Senator Douglas only carried 2 northern states, Missouri and New Jersey. Abraham Lincoln carries the rest of the important North. He wins the 180 electoral votes necessary and becomes the nation's 16th president. Okay? What? Go ahead. I'd like to hear it. You want to call it a day? Let's do it. Let's call it a day. Let me tell you a story about that. This is why I appreciate Megan. So here's my story. I'm in graduate school at Montana State University. And I have a 3-hour class that goes Tuesdays and Thursdays. Dr. John Pacone. Nice guy, older than the hills, more boring than me as far as that might be to believe. Okay? Well, anyway, my son Sheldon, I'm not making this up, he was 5 years old, and because I really didn't want to be gone the whole summer and not see my children, I would take him with me to graduate school, and he would go to class with me. And he would have his coloring book and his books, and he was really awesome. I mean, I still to this day cannot believe how good he was. And he'd sit in class, hour and 40-minute classes, and do real well. We had this 3-hour class. And my son was a funny kid because when he was little, he had a lot of trouble with his ears. And he ended up not being able to hear very well because he had ear infections. Now, if you take your fingers and you put them on your earlobes, and not push it hard, but just push it tight, what do you hear when you talk? I'll say something. Go ahead and say something. What do you hear? You hear a loud voice, don't you? Well, my son hadn't been feeling very well, so just before I went to graduate school, we had the tubes put in his ears. That was the big deal, which opened up his ears. Well, he was used to hearing himself real loud. So when he had the tubes put in, he was yelling all the time, talking loud. So we're sitting in class, and Dr. Pacone is giving a lecture, and Sheldon sat next to me, and he's been real good, and he goes, "Hey, Dad!" Sheldon, he goes, "What?" He goes, "I'll tell you one thing, if this guy keeps talking, I'm going to walk right over and jump out that window." And I am just beat red. And he's just looking, my son just looking around. That's the son that was in here with his wife. You guys over here that day? Or you guys, oh, it wasn't this class, another class. But anyway, Dr. Pacone, he must have been 70. He looks up and he says, "Sheldon, come up here." And my son goes up there and he picks him up and puts him on his lap and he says, "Are you," and this is like an hour into the classes, I've got like 2 hours now. He says, "Are you a little tired of listening to me today?" And Sheldon says, "Yes." He says, "Okay, let's all go over to the Student Union building and have a treat." And Dr. Pacone took us all over there and bought us a treat, and I'll tell you that my classmates were buying him treats like crazy because he got, that's a true story. So I get that. When you said that, that's what I thought. My son's saying it's time to quit. Yeah. Sheldon, if you watch my video, I hope you like the story.